Okay. This interview is only going to take about 15 minutes. Okay. Okay. First question is, please share with me anything that comes to mind that informs you of your culture.
The Filipino culture.
Yes, your Filipino culture.
When we say Filipino, what comes to my mind is that Filipinos, are superstitious. We live communally, communal living, or as a community.
Yeah.
We have this concept of bayanihan, and it's community members help another community member. For example, it was an old picture of a painting where it shows that there's a nipa hut or a house that needs to be moved to another place. So the members of the community go out to help lift that house up and move it to the where it should be placed. So that's bayanihan. Filipinos are taught to respect their elders. So it is common practice for Filipinos to have elderly people in their house, to take care of them instead of putting them in homes for the elderly. There will be family members taking care of them, and then family members take care of family members. For example, the older sibling, if he finishes college, he's not expected to, find his own or build his own family. It is an unwritten, kind of a practice that he will then help his other siblings, his family members, to help put them through school, or he will find a job so he could help them find education.
Okay, so it's not only a close family, it's a close community.
Yeah.
Which is kind of different than other cultures, because usually it's just the family that's close.
Yeah.
But in Filipino culture, it's family and the community,
so
neighbors and stuff like
neighbors look out for each other.
How did you come to know what you know about your culture? Oh, you have something else to say? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
A lot of people say that Filipinos are hospitable. And we are hospitable, and we like having visitors during events or fiestas. And sometimes this is a good thing, because it could be we are being hospitable, so we will try our best to prepare food. And sometimes the family does not have enough money to do it, so they will be in debt or borrow money just to be able to show hospitality. We are religious. We are known for our Filipino time, which means that you're not on time. When you say it's 1 o'clock, it's probably 2 o'clock or 1:30. It's not the exact time that you talked about. There's an importance of, we have this concept of utang na loob, which is when somebody did you a favor, you are indebted to that person, so you will try your best to return that favor in kind, or in many ways. And even if even in many ways, like if it's the dad who owes something from somebody, even the family members will do their best to help return the favor to that person. We have a pakikisama. It's a value of getting along. So it is a good thing, but sometimes it's not a good thing, because sometimes you just go along with everybody's decision because you don't want them to think that you are not that you're being a snob.
Yeah, so that's like being very passive.
Something like that, or you just go along with what the others want because you're trying
being shy.
Yeah, we are.
And some people think Asians are very shy people, but it's not really shyness.
It's trying to get along because you want to respect them or please other people.
Yeah, so it's not shyness.
It's not shyness, but Filipinos and Asians are said to be shy.
Or stereotype as being shy.
Yeah, said to be shy also. And we do smile a lot, even during calamities or typhoons. So if there's a typhoon, there are several footages of typhoon, what do you call that, typhoon or emergencies, and there were cameras around, and you would see people, let's say it's a flood, and you will see people on top of their roof waving to the camera and smiling as if nothing is happening, and it's what they're doing. And then they said Filipinos during parties always have karaoke, and because we love to sing, and the patients are smart.
So how did you come to know all this? How did you come to know what you know about your culture?
Because I was born and raised in the Philippines, so we have practiced a lot of these superstitious beliefs that we have. Family members practice them, even their relatives. I have experienced the bayanihan, or the neighbors look after their neighbors.
Yeah. So
and
you've actually done all of these
yes.
things. It's not like you've been away from your culture. You lived it. Okay. So if at all possible, please share with me any stereotypes you have heard about your culture, or you've heard people say about your culture.
Okay,
Yeah. What are some of the stereotypes
that
of your Asian Filipino culture?
yeah, I have heard one of the bosses. My bosses say, "Oh, Filipinos are very good in arts." And arts,
So arts?
dancing and singing.
What else?
Yeah, I said hospitable.
Some of the stereotypes?
Yeah.
Like, what do people say that all Filipinos do this, or all Filipinos do that?
That we
That's
eat
like
a lot.
a stereotype. You eat a lot?
We eat a lot.
What else?
We're religious.
Religious. Okay. And do you believe any of these stereotypes?
Most Filipinos are religious.
Yeah.
I think it has something to do with the colonization. But most Filipinos are religious, so you will hear them say, "Oh, you're not supposed to do this because this is going to happen," and then superstitious also, because you're not supposed to do this because this will happen.
It's back to stereotypes. Like stereotypes, like what I'm asking is like something people say that your culture does, but it may or may not be true. Like, for example, Asians. Oh, Asians are bad drivers.
Yeah,
No.
Asians
So
can't
is
drive.
there any stereotypes like that about the Filipino culture that you've heard or that you know about?
That Filipinos are always late.
Okay. Is that a stereotype that's true? Like, do you think that's true, or
It's not all true.
is that,
Common, but it's not.
is that
true
what
all
stereotype that fits you?
Sometimes.
Okay. Okay. So, what emotions are present for you when you are treated as though you're a stereotype? How do you feel? What do you think about that?
Sometimes it's good that people, because for good statements about my culture, I feel, yay, Filipino pride. It's I feel proud about it. But there are some stereotypes that I am ashamed of being associated with.
Like what?
Like Filipinos are always late, or the utang na loob.
What's that?
When you have to repay, somebody for doing you a favor.
Okay. Please share with me any stereotypes you've heard about my culture. which would be Mexican American culture. What stereotypes have you heard about?
That
My culture.
you have big families.
You have big families.
And you're religious, or Mexican culture is religious. I've heard also there's close family ties from the Mexican culture.
What else?
American side.
Yeah, Mexican American.
Mexican American side.
Anything else?
Americans is a throwaway society or something like that. That's if they will throw away stuff because it's not that way in the Philippines. Like I have heard people say that. It's not from me.
That you keep stuff that you don't need. Okay. Okay.
No.
So now you can ask me some things about my culture. So you go ahead and ask me these questions here.
What are the stereotypes that you have?
These right here.
Yeah, okay. Do you believe the stereotypes to be true about the ones that I have mentioned and more?
So you mentioned having big families. Americans have big families. Yeah, I think that's true. That's not something that I've experienced because my parents' families are in Mexico. But at some Mexican families, like in El Paso, Texas, they do have gatherings and they're together. Yeah. What else? What was the other stereotype that you know about?
Religious.
Religious? Yeah, like my mom's very religious. Like they pray to Jesus and Virgin Mary and to saints. Is that what you're talking about?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that they're true.
Do you fit any of the stereotypes?
Yeah, so the stereotypes that you mentioned, they do fit my family. Maybe not from me directly, but like the religious part, yes.
So what emotions are present for you when you're treated as though you're a stereotype? How do you feel, or how does that make you feel?
Well, one stereotype that we didn't mention was like machismo, like male Hispanics are like the man of the house and the wives have to do what the husband says. Like that's a stereotype that I know about. And at work, the clinicians, they mention that when we're talking about a Hispanic family, they're like, is that the husband? Is he being abusive to his wife, or is he doing this? Is he doing that? And I'm like, no. I mean, like, why would you even mention that? Nothing happened to mention that. But so when it's negative stereotypes, yeah, it bothers me because it makes me feel like the clinician's like not very competent. Or culturally aware. So it's annoying mostly. But other stereotypes, they don't really bother me. Do you have any other questions for me? No? Okay. So from your point of view, what's the biggest difference between my culture and your culture?
What's the biggest difference? I think the kids leaving at 18, because in the Philippines it's not like that.
The kids stay and help
the
the
kids
family.
stay and help the family.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the Mexican American culture, maybe also Mexican, where they have to just move on with their lives. So from your point of view, what's the biggest similarity between our cultures?
Our cultures are both religious.
Very religious? Yeah. So, if I were your therapist, what would you want me to know about your um, what would you want me to know, or how would you like for me to act that would make you feel more comfortable? If I was your therapist.
If those are therapists and considering our cultural differences or backgrounds, I think I would want you to consider that sometimes when we smile, when you say something to us, whether negative or positive, and then we first respond with a smile, it's just like that. It's that's usually the first line of response is to smile or chuckle, even though what you're talking about is a problem. I think it's part of our defense mechanism. Yeah. So, yeah, and then we might need a lot more probing questions before we would open up, because we are a shy culture. So we won't take the initiative to say what we want to say right away unless we are, probe or nudged to do it.
As we close, if there was one moment that made you feel less comfortable, can you share what that was and why you felt some discomfort?
I think I need more time to think because I felt a little bit rushed.
Okay.
Yeah,
You just need more time to process.
Process the question because it's a very broad topic, and I did not know where to focus or what to focus on.
Okay, and finally, what could I have done differently to help you feel more comfortable?
Paused.
Pause.
A little bit.
Okay.
And then maybe ask more questions.
Just ask more detailed questions
More detailed
so you can
questions,
know
so
what I'm
I
exactly
could
what I'm
clarify.
asking.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I could clarify what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's the end of the interview. Thank you.